Hey people, welcome back. Let's do some micro soldering. I've got an Asus Zenpad here, and the charging port has been damaged, and it's quite a bad damage. So first thing first is I've already took the thing out. It's pretty straightforward. You know, you just grab it with your nails and pull it out basically. It clips in, but it's pretty easy to take off. Absolutely awesome. You just got to sort of put your finger or a praying tool, a nail, sorry, and a praying tool here, and just pull away basically, and that's as easy as that. I love how the casings have been assembled and how easy it is to take off. So first thing first is I've got to take the logic board off out of the actual frame. So I've got several screws around here, a couple of Wi-Fi wire, speaker left and right, whatever it is, the flex here. So let's sort of take them off. Do sort of bear in mind that there is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small screws which are situated. You don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 large ones. 1, 2, 3, and then you've still got to remove the speakers. So there's 2 screws on either end of the speaker basically before you can take the logic board out. So let me move this camcorder. Alright, there's another wire attached here at the end, so do sort of, let's see if I can sort of show you what's going on. Yep. So that needs to come off as well. Let's make sure the screws and the... Oh, okay. Yeah, of course, this bit here. Just remove that nice and gently. If it doesn't come off, just apply a bit of heat and that'll just let go. And there's one here as well. It's a little conductive tape which is used for grounding. Turn this upside down nice and gently, and there is the connector there, so just lift it up. There we have it. So the logic board is away. Let's put that to a side. Let's see what the situation is with the actual so see, the pin is literally bent. Okay, so first thing first is let's apply a bit of masking around the area, so I'm not damaging this, because that can very easily damage. So I'm going to use a reflective aluminium foil tape basically. You can buy them off online. Do get some decent quality. They don't go into Poundland and start picking these absolute gibberish basically. Trust me, they're absolute gibberish. If you're in the UK, Selco sells them, but they use it for ducting and all that business, so that's nice and thick. And wide as well, so you'll have plenty of that, and I think it's roughly about 8 to 10 quid. When I bought them initially, and I'm still working off the stuff that I've bought initially, because I bought a handful of these tapes from Jimmy at BGA Rework, which is part of Insat International in London basically. So do sort of visit his website. The man is an Einstein, you know. He's got a lot of stuff in terms of rework, and I think he's selling a lot of batteries and various other things. So do check him out. It's worth paying a visit to his website. Okay, I need to make sure I don't lose those. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Let me see if I can increase the brightness a little bit. Sadly, Ah, I know why, because I haven't got enough ambient. Let me just turn my lights on. No, that hasn't made any difference. Okay, not to worry. Let's remove this as well. Okay. Use it. Tiny little. Again, another ground pad. Just a notification on the businesses, all that. Yeah, okay. I've had the deliveries, that's fine. Okay, where are we for now? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, first thing first is to put it on a jig. So let's find a jig that's suitable for that purpose. So I'm going to use this one and probably end up raising this camcorder as high as possible and make sure that there's nothing getting knocked off, like these switches here, them. So I want to sort of put this somewhere where it's not knocking onto anything else. We're all clear on that side, we're clear on that side, yeah, okay, so I'm doing that. I'm going to go these. It's a magnetic PCB holder. It's pretty damn smart actually. I really like it. Okay, so there we have it. And then I probably could do with one or just make sure nothing's underneath, so I'm not knocking against anything. Okay, and the rest can, I don't know. I've got two spares. I'll put one there. I'll put one against here. Alright, so that's in place. That's nice and rigid, nice and solid. I don't have to worry about. Now what I'm going to do is get my soldering station on, apply a bit of flux. So now, one thing I always urge people when you're working with flux, do have a fume extractor, absolute essential, gloves, and work in a well ventilated area as well. Okay, so first thing first is I'm going to turn the extractor fan on, soldering station, and I'm using the MX5000 series. Alright, just leave it there so it's not. Let me see if I can get it through the back somehow. Yep, beautiful. Right, okay, well I'll be turning my Metcal on just so that it starts preheating the element. Is that the wrong one? Yep, let's start. You know what, I'll tell you something, I pray that I've got I had a bigger sort of, what should I say, the bigger premise. I have a feeling that I'm going to melt this charging wire. Just hang in there for a sec. Because oh, fuck it. Use that for now. So all I'm doing is I've left the hot air station on just so that the elements are getting hot, rather than just turning it on and just whacking it up to about 300-400 degrees Celsius, whatever it is basically. So first thing first is I'm going to apply a bit of flux in this surrounding area. Okay, and I do need to straighten that up as well. There's a lot of messing around, you know, when you're trying to take a video of what you're doing. It's not as easy as it may seem like it. Basically, there's a lot of messing around. Zoom in. What I want to do is I want to keep as high as possible but achieve the best image quality. I think that's as good as we're going to get with it basically. Right, low melt solder. Apply a bit of low melt solder. There's a lot of noise in the background of the extractor fan running, the met pads running and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply low melt solder, plenty of. What that does is that helps the that will help the port to come off with ease basically, because working with lead free solder is absolute pain on the arse. That's been said. Okay, let's move on to my hot air. Is set at 8 for the air, and I'll put about 6.5, 6.5. Sadly, it's an analog hot air station, and I prefer to use that. So, okay. And secondly, I'm going to put a pair of safety glasses on, only because of solder spitting. So that I'm going to do. I do it all the time basically. Right, let's grab a proper set of tweezers. These are Nipex tweezers, what you can see here. Alright, I'll probably turn the board around this way so it's easier to pick on that USB port. Let me just centralize that. There we have it. And let's apply a bit of heat. Just go around. The reason why I mask this plastic thing is this is plastic, it will easily melt. Just going to go around nice and gently, and I should see the solder turning into silver. Just nudge it, no movement. I'll keep at the applying heat. Okay. Yep, I did see a movement there, but not sort of. Okay, there we go. Usually doesn't require that much of a heat. It required that much of a heat this time around because this was replaced not so long ago, and she's broken it again basically. So it's just sad, but these things happen. And I'm not going to sort of take it out on the kid basically. Right, first thing first is let's clean up all these pads. So I'm going to get some copper braid. I'm using some decent copper braid. That's the Loctite, and again I bought a handful of these off the internet basically at a mind-blowing price basically. So just want to get rid of all the old solder, and then I'm going to show you a different way of doing this, which I have demonstrated on previous videos. Okay, so now what we'll do is just wait for. Let's clean the area. Wait for, there's nothing to wait. The trouble is usually I'm working under microscope, and I can have a better visibility of what I'm doing, but I'm not one of them person that's so used to it with digital microscopes and looking through a monitor, because there's still a lag, a very tiny lag. So I'm not a big fond of that basically. Right, okay, let's throw that in the bin. Right, and then what I'm going to do is apply a bit of flux. I won't be able to. Hang on, let me get the port, because the last one I replaced was a bit dodgy on the basis of that the legs that are sticking out were quite stiff, so I had to sort of press it so that it lines up nicely, and then just tweak it a little bit so that it fits nice. It seats inside the actual or I should say on the PCB properly. These original parts basically then. I try and outsource original parts, but that's providing they're available. If it's not available, then oops. So there we go. I'm even surprised at how quickly they've broken it basically. I think what's happened is that they've pulled the cable through the wrong way around, and that's how they managed to bend that pin. There's absolutely no chance of that pin just crushing itself basically. Okay, let's so see what I mean? That's that side. The other side's not seating. I'm probably get the idea. There you go. One side seated, the other side's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pair of pliers, and I'm just going to sort of in fact, let's just have a look. Let's get a pair of using this, and all I'm going to do is just twist it a little bit. So if I can do it that on the camera. So just a little twist. So you're trying to fold it this way, if it makes sense. Let's see if it slots in. Nope, still no good. Still no good. Okay, so a bit more. Let's try it now. A lot better. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick to my method one. I'm not going to bother with doing what I was going to do before. So on that basis, the hot air station can go off, and I'll do the soldering. I was going to show you sort of a way where I apply the solder and then use the hot air station and drop the port in basically, but I'm not going to bother with that. So crack on with this the way I'd like it to. Right, what I'm going to do is that'll come off and apply a bit of flux. But what that flux will do is it'll allow it to penetrate properly. It allows this solder to flow better. That's the main purpose, and it's an absolute must that you use decent quality flux like Amtech, or if you don't want to spend that sort of money, go for the Kimbo flux, original Kimbo flux. And I'll tell you something, I've been using Kimbo flux for years for this sort of work. When it comes to graphic chip, any intensive work, precision work, that's when I use Amtech basically. But for general use, I prefer to use the Kimbo flux. It's never ever let me down, hand on heart, honestly. Right, let's move on to the soldering process now. What I'll be using the leaded solder. It's the SN3763, made by some sort of, I can't remember the company, but it's a UK company actually. That. Right, so what I'm going to do now is go for the joint one. Just hold it for about 3 seconds. Or maybe longer. Got to allow the pad to warm up and let the solder go to the other side. Okay, and just clean the tip of the iron because that's gone. Hold it there for a bit longer. Okay, I'll do the opposite side after. Let me just sort of complete this. Now usually I'd use a different type of so enhance the screen on that basically. Yeah, I'd use the different tip actually, I could say. See, this sort of work, I do it under a proper microscope where I can see what I'm doing basically. So I'm not even looking at the monitor, just going off my, let's apply a bit more flux, going off my eyesight basically, which is not so good. Should try not to put too much flux in, because the problem you have is that then it will go inside the port itself and it'll become sticky. So you're creating more problem for yourself as you're working. Now what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to use my microscope because I need to make sure that those joints are well made off. So therefore I'm going to end up using my microscope for the final touch up. So you will have to excuse me. I'll move away from the camcorder because I need to have visibility. I'll show you what's been done after, but let me please sort this out under my microscope. Okay, pads have been tinned. So now I'm going to reflow it. Alright, quite happy with that. I know I've put a bit more than usual, but that's all cool. It's all cool. Right, so what I can do is I'm gonna show you what's been done. If we can go a bit closer, I will do so. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can get a bit more closer view of what's going on. See how far I can take it down. There you go, so you get the idea. Let's lift this up a little bit. It's tinned more than I would normally, as I repeat, but it's all cool. It's all cool. It'll make the joints a bit stronger, so if it gets twisted and whatever, it's not going to sort of cause a problem basically, and the pins are not sort of snapping off from the joints. I'll give that a bit of a clean. Okay, and I will ideally, I recommend just taking off the foil while the PCB is warm, so it leaves no residue basically. Right, so on the opposite side, I don't need this now, the jig can go away. On the opposite side, I just need to reflow these couple of these joints basically. So let's see what's happening with the camcorder. Alright, so the two further closer to me, they're okay, but the other two I could do with just a little bit more solder. And then I'll flatten these off. They've got a little of a lump on it basically, so ideally I want to get rid of any excessive solder. Just scrape, just use the same scrape and get rid of Yep, that's more like factory like finish this. And when you use good quality solder and flux, you get a nice silver mirror like finish basically on the joints. And this is just a typical example basically. So be careful that we're not knocking off a couple of those diodes. Alright, let's get a clean cotton bud. Whew, I go through a lot of these cotton buds daily, and they work like magic. Yeah, one of the joints not so happy with, but it's this one. Doesn't look nice, that. So let's, there we have it. That's more like it. Nice and even. See, the thing is that there's a lot of attention to detail. I know it's just a USB port and who's going to see this, whatever, but when this goes to a different workshop, someone looks at the work and think, all right, okay, well, this has been replaced by somebody who's got a good knowledge of, or at least they know what they're doing. It's that bit of acknowledgement, you know, it's important. It's really important for me, that. Alright, so cleaning process is done. I'm going to reassemble the whole thing back now. So let's switch over to this mode, and what I need to do is let me turn off the extractor fan, turn off the soldering station, move things around so I can create a bit more desk space. Let's put things away that I'm not going to use and take off this awful safety glass, although it does a cracking job, but it's made out of plastic, so they just get scratched and whatever. So that's the port that's been taken off. It's going to get scrapped. I've got to order a few more of these in basically because of I'm running low on these. So that's that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a bit of heat on that. Is this plantronic falling off my ears? Looks like it, which it almost did. I'll apply a bit of heat here so that the foil comes off with ease basically. Okay, so let's should come off with ease, don't worry. Peel that off. Come off with ease. With if no residue. But I'm gonna have to still give it a clean. Let's grab a little bit of a tissue and do my ultrasonic clean. I'm only kidding, this is not proper ultrasonic clean. I've got some industrial level ultrasonic cleaner basically, one for mobile and one for PCB. Trust me, I picked them up for absolute bargain. Right, so let's look at, just before we sort of reassembling the unit, let's look at the finish basically. Alright, so that's the soldering. See, it's nicely uniformed beautifully. That's how it should be. On the other side, Same again. Those are your joints, and the joint and bridging. That's very important that you check that basically. That it's not created a bridge of any sort. And there we have it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to reassemble the thing back together. So just make sure that the bench is nice and clean. As always, I always keep my bench clean. Right, first thing first is let's move this out of the way. There's a Wi-Fi. Let me get a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing basically. Alright, what I might do, I don't want to turn it off just in case the microscope, I don't want to do that. I've used my camcorder, just didn't fancy having a expensive microscope. Now just one other thing, if this is falling off, just take these gloves off. They're large gloves, and I buy them because so that I can reuse them basically, right? And especially with this pandemic, what we've had and what we're still kind of partially in, the glove prices from £6, £7 has gone up to 20 quid basically. So I'm not sort of prepared to pay £20 for a box of gloves, right? So that's one of the reasons why I've actually gone on and opt out for a slightly bigger size so I can take them off easily. Right, okay, so this little piece, this plastic piece is actually covering the microphone here. So if that's gone off and you can't locate it, it just sits like this basically. Like that. Alright. Okay, so quite happy with everything else. Yep, just forgetting one thing. Okay, let's grab a pair of tweezers. To apply that tape back on. And this so-called whatever this pad is, so I'm on about. Let me show you what I've done. This thing is, again, it's falling off. That can easily happen. I've just put these back on. This and this. Alright, so that's all. Just press it down. Just come off. Okay, superb, superb. We put this back on. It's not necessary to sort of record all that because it's just going to be a lengthy video, so I'll pause that for a moment. Right, all the most of the screws have been put back on. Okay, that's brilliant. What this fibre is there for, I'll get rid of that. Okay, I'm just going to run a couple of, just out of curiosity, I'm just going to run a couple of diode mode test, but I can't do that because of this camcorder being on the way. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off the camcorder because there's no need for that to be on. So that can go away. Let's just check the data lines and just make sure that those data lines are the charging pins are okay. So data line on the charging pin, I should say. So ground probe on red probe on the ground. Okay, you don't need to see that. I've just been measuring the pins basically. I'll do that on camera. So that's the orientation of the board. Ground, ground. That's one of the data line. Another data line, and that's going to be positive for your battery. Okay, so I'll quickly do it again because I don't think you. So that's set on ohms. I'll be quick. So pin 1, which is ground, pin 2 is ground, pin 3, pin 4, and then pin 5 and 6 is going to be pretty much the same. That's charging, and it's going to start discharging as well. So pin 5 and 6 are positive basically. So that's what the expected readings are on a working device basically. Now let's set the bench power supply, which is on. Let's power it up, set it to 5 volt. Let me turn the cam, whatever. Let me get rid of some of this stuff that I've got here, some of the papers. I've got to renew my car insurance and all this pissing around basically. This year it's going to be an expensive year for me basically. Well, this month, yeah, every year is expensive because you've got to renew the car insurance every year, but it's just that this month is going to be expensive, I should have said. Right, okay, so is the bench power supply set to 5 volt. You can just about see there, 5 volt, 5.1. So let's plug in the battery. Hope that the thing doesn't go in fire. And let's plug in the device. Let's see if we get anything on the device as well. It's drawing 0.4 amp, and we have a battery charging icon. There it is. All right, so now it's gone up to 1 amp. That's what is required. It's a 1 amp thingy, so it's charging. It's taking charge. Let's see if there is anything else I need to sort of conclude before sort of wrapping this up. Okay, I think I'm gonna get rid of that. Just do a final inspection, make sure everything's right. Yep, quite happy with that, quite happy with all that. That's all been put back in its place. Yep, absolutely. So let's put the back cover on, leave it on for a charge, call up the gent. It's actually it's actually my mate's daughter's tablet, that. So I'll ring him up and just give him the good news that it's fixed. Let's check all the corners, because you can very easily get told thinking you pressed and it's closed, but it hasn't. Okay, so what's happened here? Oh, I've gone into a recovery mode. How did I manage to do that? It's gone into recovery mode. So hold on the volume and the power button and see if it switches off. If it doesn't, I'll have to sort of disconnect the battery. Okay, so that's gone off. Let's let you guys go over there. There we go, and let's power it on and see what happens. Should power on normally, but let's plug in the charging lead as well. See, I think what she's done is she's poked the charging lead in the wrong direction, which led to the issue of pins breaking. Right, I think we're near to the end of the video, guys. Yes, that's that for today. However, I have an interesting topic that's coming up in terms of troubleshooting some of the older laptops and graphic chip basically. So that will be kind of a sort of a lengthy video, but I'll have to chop it basically and keep it short as possible. I've got the board view and the schematic for that, and there's the graphic chip is not sort of enabling the 3 volt video on, or LCD on signal basically. That shouldn't have been, you guys shouldn't have seen, but okay. Well, anyway, just to conclude the video, guys, the tablet's fixed, it's working, charging, turning on, so there we have it. I'm going to leave it on charge with a normal charger and just let it charge up to whatever it needs to charge. Is 42% at the moment, so yep. Okay, so let that charge up. Stupid that I didn't. Yep, okay, that's all. Yeah, take care guys, have fun, and I'll catch up with you in my next video. Peace.